America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do indeed. Everybody's here.
Perfect. Presentations, we don't have any. The next item is the review and approval of the minutes of the July 6th, 2026, pages 1 through 5. And after you all look through that, I'll need a motion.
I move that the minutes be approved.
Okay, Polly made a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Tom is a second, all in favor? No,
I wasn't present.
okay. Everyone guessed but Sophia.
Okay. And is this applicable to both sets of minutes?
No, that was just for
For
the
the
July 6th
Okay.
meeting. The next item is the approval of the July 20th work session minutes on pages 6 through 8.
Motion to accept.
Okay, Cynthia made the motion, do we have a second? Good. Holly is the second, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you. The next item is the public hearing, the consideration of the resolution 2026-08, establishing the 2026 millage rates, pages 9 through 19. And this is, just what we have already discussed. So do we need a motion to open the public hearing? Brad?
Yes.
Okay, we need a motion to open the public hearing.
I
Mm.
motion.
My apologies. You don't need to have the motion. You can just declare it open and declare it
Okay,
closed.
okay. Open the public hearing. Does anybody in the public wanna comment about the millage rates? Okay. Did we vote on this?
Is this our, I was gonna ask if this was the first, is this the first reading of, the first reading?
This
of
isn't an ordinance. It's just a
Okay.
resolution.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So there, yes, you are voting on it tonight.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Boyd, did you say we got a vote on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'll move that we, adopt the resolution stating the millage rate is 0 mils.
Okay, Alex is the first. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Tom is the second. All in favor? Unanimous? All right, thank you guys. New business, the first item is the consideration of the special use permit, Sharpsburg Baptist Church concert on the green, pages 20 through 23.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Suggestion?
Mhm.
Back when the Special Events Ordinance was adopted, it was 2008. And back when 2008, we had 2 giant festivals. The Old Town Sharpsburg merchants had meetings, had events all year long. And we needed something like this. I was on the council, in fact, at the time, and voted for it. Now, I would like to suggest that if an entity wants to have it on their own personal property, and it's not going to infringe on the town at all, that we exempt them from all this paperwork and, it's not a big fee anyway, but just the paperwork every time. I've witnessed 2 of them, the Sharpsburg Festival, the Sharpsburg Church had one, and, theirs is always smooth as silk. And, the pizza, Sharpsburg Pizza had one, which was also smooth as silk, and both of them draw a lot of people into town. Now, one of them did file the paperwork and one didn't, but they probably didn't know about it. I just think we need to exempt them to start with, and if it comes a time that we need all this again, we add it. The attorney would probably have to make a comment.
I wouldn't start exempting people
No,
from
I-
making your applications.
I agree.
Well, then we need to
I mean,
enforce
because
those
if
that
you
don't,
exempt-
because some of them, it's been happening, they're not.
Well, I was gonna say, if, you know, the problem is, if you're gonna have an ordinance requiring a permit, and to do it, you've got to apply it to everyone. If you want to not have an ordinance requiring permits, then just do away with the ordinance and let everybody. But you can't treat people differently.
Okay, but then we need to start enforcing it. And that brings up another one, you know, the thing about the banners that a resident made a complaint about several months ago.
I'm not.
Those long banners, there's an ordinance against that too. And one of the people, whatever, took theirs down, the other did not, and it still remains, and in the meantime, there's another one been added. So what do we do about that?
The flag banners?
Yeah,
Well, they can, if it's a violation of the sign ordinance, then you can, you know,
well, they've already been notified, apparently, and didn't take it down.
I'm not aware of the, and otherwise you gotta cite them and take them to court.
And we
And
can't,
that's a whole different issue.
So,
Don't give away all our secrets.
we go back up.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
very soon.
That's a general discussion that we're having
Yes,
about creating a joint court with perhaps Harrelson, Tour, and more to try and address those code enforcement.
Oh, okay.
Which
Well,
would,
I have a small- go
which would
ahead.
also apply in the situation if you didn't have a special
correct.
So, yes, it would apply the same thing,
Right.
yeah. It's all about enforcement.
Okay, I got one more for them on my yard. That was
Is
on the.
anybody here from, Sharpsburg Baptist?
So,
I said, is anybody here from the church or?
No.
Okay. Well, I will move that we approve their, special use permit.
Okay,
Second.
Alex has the first, Thomas the second, all in favor? Unanimous? The next item is consideration of Arbor Valley quote, the retention pond maintenance, pages 24 and 25. As you guys know, we had this done,
Last year, July of last
yeah,
year.
last year. We went out for quotes, we had 3 quotes.
I know we at least tried to get 3 quotes.
Yeah. And, Arbor Valley is the one that was awarded the job to clean the retention pond out, and it needs to be done again. So, we reached out to Arbor Valley and they quoted $3,000 for clearing the overgrowth in the retention pond. And it's probably easily something that we're gonna have to do every year.
So we need to put it in the budget, right? Last year, how much did they charge us last year then?
3,100.
100?
So they charge same
It's
thing?
$100 less this time.
How much? I'm sorry.
It's $100 less this time.
Oh, so 3,100.
what about the other bids?
There weren't, so I'm glad you brought that up. Last year, I went out for 3 at least bids, and we didn't get many. It was awarded to Arbor Valley. And I think we have a practice that, we're talking about a year ago. It's not, I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. We can go for 3 bids, I'll just hold it out a little bit longer. But in this case, we already have an established relation with Arbor Valley on a number of fronts, and they're the only ones who, they got the award last year. So it seemed to me that this would be a way to go ahead and just expedite it. But I don't have an opinion one way or the other. If we want to go for 3 bids, I think we're going to come back to the same result, same conclusion. But I think that council's position, what do you want to do with it?
Under, cause I don't have the budget in front of me, under fiscal year 1700, what is that categorized as? Is that specifically for this? Did we have this specifically categorized?
We did, so it's a subcategory actually. I believe it's under the right-of-way maintenance and trimming, and we had 1,700 put aside for it. Mhm.
If Arbor Valley's gonna do it and we're satisfied with it, why can't, they already maintain so much of our other areas, why can't we include that for more regular maintenance than once a year?
We can notify them, put them on schedule and have them do it more than, it really doesn't need more than once a year. We can certainly make it a routine and annual,
It's pretty tall out there now.
It is.
I don't think your average landscape company,
Will they go do it now?
wants to mess with a nasty
No.
retention pond either.
Mhm.
No.
Generally, that's probably why you receive a lack of bids, because
Yes.
a lot of people look at that and say, I don't wanna
I remember
mess with
we-
that
One
sloppy.
of the quotes was like
Like
10,000, 9,000 or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, one of the bids was extremely high. Arbor Valley came in very low. And Arbor Valley does do retention ponds outside of just ours. They do retention ponds, but they were also the cheapest.
Well, it sounds like
Yeah.
you talked to them. I mean, do they recommend like a regular maintenance, or are they just saying, hey, let's just do it once a year, or
Right, so
is it better or
it's
worse to
not
do it
been,
once every quarter?
it's not been a true sit down, let's talk about how
Yeah.
often to do it, but it's basically eyeballing it, saying now's about the time. So it seems to be about once a year. Recall before last year, they haven't done retention pond maintenance since the retention pond existed. So we actually started doing it last year, and then we're looking at it again this year and trying to keep it maintained that way at a yearly basis.
Well, if we, I, suggested we do go, Arbor Valley, let's try to do it twice a year, that's the way to keep it down low and look more presentable than wait till last minute when you get up high.
Let me ask a question, because they're calling it 3,000 now. They may call it 1,500 times 2 is 3, or they may say 3,000
Yeah, I mean,
times
that's
3.
all right, I mean, I'm just saying, do it twice a year, at 15 each.
But I don't know what that would be.
Yeah,
If they come back with 3,000 apiece, then that's gonna be 12, 6,000. So you have a baseline where we're good with that?
Oh, I'll suggest, see if we can just get it for like, maybe 35.
Okay, 35 all in.
Yeah, that way at least it's done twice a year and it look more presentable and be more safer looking, I guess, cause I don't know what's out there.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, if they have
We
a,
can talk to
if they
them.
have a maintenance option, that'd be,
Yeah.
definitely be something to
okay,
consider.
we'll talk to them about it. Okay,
Well, I'll move that we accept their quote and have Arbor Valley do the maintenance on the retention pond.
Okay, Alex made it first, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Tom made a second, all in favor?
I would like to see some more bids on some things before I start spending money.
So the problem is,
Well, can we amend it to inquire about the maintenance?
sure.
I would like to amend that motion then to inquire about a possible maintenance of twice a year
Okay,
and make a decision at that point.
so hold off on approval. Let's make sure we're clear then. Talk about the ongoing maintenance and then make a
Well, it's
decision.
not an urgent thing, is it?
yes,
Yes, it
It's
is,
why
I
did
mean,
it get
it's-
urgent all of a sudden?
because it's getting big.
because
and-
now we have a playground
We have
and
a
people are
playground.
out there all the time.
Yeah,
Also, you can probably see it better with it down, I agree, with it cut down.
that's what I was gonna say, it was about the playground, it's my concern.
Well,
You've got a motion.
that's what I was gonna say,
Yeah.
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 You've got a motion
Do
on
we
the
record
table,
the vote of
so
the-
either Tom would have to accept the amendment, or you just vote on the motion.
Well, I made the motion.
Oh,
Tom seconded.
yeah,
And Tom seconded it.
yeah, all right,
Now, the mo,
so there's a motion on the table.
Which we voted on, was the vote recorded?
I don't think a vote happened yet. We were about to.
No, we're
It
about
said all
to-
in favor then.
Yeah, all in favor?
No, we're gonna raise our hands, so,
Well,
I amended but the motion wasn't in place, is that where we are?
What, he would have to
You made a
accept the
motion, now
amendment.
I'm gonna amend it,
Well,
to
and you wanted amended,
amend the motion to make the decision after we see about the maintenance twice a year.
but that doesn't change the quote to do the maintenance now.
I would say, I'm not gonna amend my motion, but I would say we can give Floyd a direction as administrator to look into that for next time.
Right.
But I'd like to just go ahead and say, let's get this done, given that we've already gave them 3,100 last year. Somehow they're 4% cheaper, so they're doing reverse inflation, which is good for us. And so my motion is to have them accept this quote, just have them go ahead and do it. And
And then
then
we'll talk about
we
it.
can give you a separate direction to consider maintenance.
I don't even need that direction, I'm aware, so we'll go ahead and talk about maintenance with them.
Okay, fair enough.
I
But,
agree with that.
there we go. Okay,
All in favor?
all right.
Unanimous, thank you. Old business, we don't have any. Public comments?
I'll have a public comment tonight, which affects the town of Sharpsburg. coming out shortly, if they haven't already arrived. Beginning with my tenure in January as mayor, it was necessary for us to do a water rate study. That water rate study has come back. The town of Turin is going up on its water rates, which will affect the citizens of Sharpsburg. We had to go up by 27%. Now, in that 27%, that only brings us to status quo. It doesn't provide anything extra. That only brings us to that. The last time a water study was done and the rate was adopted was back in 2019. Since that time, chemical costs, supplies, things of that nature have continued to increase. We expect that that's going to increase yearly for the next couple of years. We also just received back in the first of the year from the Georgia Department of Revenue that the average is 2.7% cost of living increase, which ultimately has to go towards services, and I'm sure y'all have the same situation. But in that, we're gonna expect some telephone calls that people are gonna be unhappy. I just say that the mayor and the council are having to pay that increase as well. It's something we did not take lightly. We did have hearings on it, had it discussed and all. So to make you aware of that, that is something that we have to address. The other thing that we're addressing is that we're also looking to zero our millage rate. And what I'll say, a lot of times when people look at 27%, the first thing they do is the overall picture. We're talking about 27% of the rate. And for the different tiers, for the people that use a lot more water, things such as people who have irrigation systems, do gardens, have pools and things of that nature, there'll be different tiers for the amount of water that they utilize. So those increases will be there, but I just want the town to be familiar with that. If we have people that are in our service area that have hardships, we have made special notice that we will consider those hardships for those that are elderly or on fixed incomes. However, we will be looking, they will have to show to us that it is a hardship and not just somebody that wants to have their water rate decreased. But I want to make y'all aware of that this evening. Like I say, you may get phone calls. What's happened? This has happened. It is on our website. You can look at the current rates and the increases that will be affected. So, any questions?
Effective as of,
The next water bill, when it comes out, obviously the 20th is our end date for last month, but, as it was approved by council last month, going forward, we'll be increasing that rate.
For the next how many years? For the next how many years?
For the next how many years?
Yeah, you said an increase gonna continue for the next,
Well, I'll be honest with you, and it was a hard thing on my part. One of the things I recommended is that we go ahead and increase it by 37%, which was a 10% increase. The council elected that they would rather look at a 3% increment annually. But keep in mind, I just talked about that 2.7% increase that affects all of us. So that's not barely even gonna touch, and see, things that we're considering now are ways to make the system better serve the community. Things such as new meters, which we'll be looking at that. For monitoring, right now we have to pay somebody to go out and monitor, even though we're on a system that allows us to drive by and take meter readings. Those end up getting old, and we have to phase them out and do new meters, which will actually call it in and tell us at any time how much water is being used and those kind of things. So we're looking at those upgrades too.
Do you think that your council would be open to a discussion of creating some sort of water board with Turin Council and Sharpsburg Council so that we also know what's going on with?
I think that's a real possibility.
Yeah.
We've even talked about that recently. There And so as far as a water board, and don't take that lightly, it's big water board. We don't do water boarding, but, as a commission, I think it would be good. And then that way, you have input, you have knowledge. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Any, any changes, adjustments, improvements in the water quality?
Well, let me just say this, and that's always been something that people come out and talk about. This was one of the things that was complained about the other day. The water that Turin uses is from an aquifer, and it has magnesium content, and it has other content. But once a month, we have the water tested, and that water is cleaner than the water that the county produces. There was a recent thing that someone addressed with me about how our water had contaminants in it. All water has a certain level of contaminants, but what I will tell you is our drinking water is cleaner than what the county produces. And so sometimes when you see about rings in the bowls and things like that, that's because of the mineral content. But where they use groundwater and treat groundwater, we're using water that comes from a well. And so that water is clean. Now, sometimes you get dirty water. Fire department goes out here and they open that valve and they do what's known as a burp without properly knowing how to clean it. It will stir sediment up. So if you get a bunch of red mud that comes into your water system or a smell, sediment is in every water system. When you have a main break, anytime that break occurs, you can get sediment that gets in those lines. So Turin has asked for people not to burp the hydrants that are on our water system, to let our people come and properly flush them. So you may get complaints about that, and you may get some red water. If you live at the bottom of a hill versus the top of a hill, you get sediment when people at the bottom of the hill, they get it when people at the top of the hill don't. It's just how water systems work. But sediment is in every water system. So, but I will say this, if you have any complaints about the water, let us know. We'll send somebody out. And we've had that happen a couple of times. My wife recently said, the fire department's across the street flushing a fire hydrant. And we live in a subdivision, and that is a Turin water system line. And I said, no, and she said, well, it's red coming out. And within a day, we had complaints. That they're not supposed to be flushing our hydrants, but I understand the fire department's necessity for flushing hydrants, because I used to work for the fire service. We do that to make sure they work in case you have a fire at your house.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll work with you. If you get complaints, let us know, and we'll follow up on it.
There was I can't quote the specific chemistry, but there were some tests that were supposed to be done annually that weren't done. And we got a letter that said that you didn't have any lead pipes or lead soldering in it. Do you have any kind of program set up to make sure you're giving the reports to the feds?
Yes, what happened in that case, in the last administration, they sent information out and they were supposed to let people know, and the previous administration didn't do that in time. And as a result of that, the Environmental Protection Division, through the Water Authority, in other words, they notified us. We didn't have a choice. We had to publish that letter. And what it was about lead pipes. And what we had to do is tell everybody in the community that Turin doesn't have any lead pipes in their water system. From the source up to your meter. If you got lead pipes on your side of the meter, it's not the water systems, it doesn't address that. But what we had to do is we had to send a separate letter by law to tell everybody they didn't have lead pipes in their water system. So that's what that was about.
So the 27% increase, and then 2.7%, ongoing. That really has nothing to do with upgrading the quality of your water or guaranteeing the quality of your water. It's just a matter of
That's
economics.
paid for the treatment of your water. Every month, we have to send water samples to a testing laboratory to have them tested to make sure that we are in compliance with the State Environmental Protection Division. And those costs go up too.
Have they gone up?
Yes, sir, the testing labs go up, the chemicals that we treat the water with, the filters that we use to treat the water as it comes out of the ground, all those things are increased costs, just like having to paint the water tower and clean the water in the water tower. I mean, not the water itself, but the inside of the tanks. I mean, anytime we have main breaks, last year we had a main break when they were building the roundabout down here that cost us $60,000 because they didn't know where the main was located that they dug into. Anything that's in the state highway department, with being 16 or 54, the towns are responsible for that. And when they didn't have locations of that, when they dug into it, that cost the town extra money.
I got one last question. What do you use? Do you chlorinate the water with compressed CO2, or do you use a salt?
That'd be a Rusty Russell question I'd have to get with you to find out, but I do know that, you know, like I say, we have, they do treatment at our plant, and he maintains that and goes down there regularly to make sure that that water is properly treated before it goes out. But we can find out. I mean, like I say, there's a list of chemicals that we have to utilize in maintenance of that water system.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I don't remember there ever being a water price increase, has it?
Yeah, remember we had to increase for the filter system
I don't
that they
remember
put
that.
in a couple years ago.
That's what I was saying, I don't like going up, but it's so infrequent.
Well, and I'll just add this. We also have a water agreement with, the Water and Sewer Authority right now, that we buy water from them in times when we have short supply of water. This time of year, when people are out sprinkling their yards, and when they're out using their swimming pools, and when they're doing their gardens and everything, they may use more water than what the town produces, and at that point, we have a contract with the county where we purchase water from them to keep the supplies up. So we have to pay for that as well. When I say we, every service user of that system. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Hi.
Hey y'all, my name is Melinda Baldwin, and we have, about right at 11 acres on McIntosh Trail, right across from the little CrossFit place.
Okay.
And, the Kelly Park area and all that. Right now, that property is up for sale and it's zoned residential. And so I wanted to ask, and I may not make a decision or anything on this, but before I fill out paperwork to try to get that property rezoned to a commercial, what I would love to do with that, instead of selling it, is to put in a large antique mall, roughly about 30,000 to 35,000 square feet, would hold about 150 vendors with a beautiful front porch on it, like kind of like Cracker Barrel, where it have rocking chairs and have a little cafe and have ice cream and have a fun place for people to gather. And especially if these people are gonna be disgruntled about their water, they have a happy place to come to. But I know that would have to come before y'all, but I had talked to Floyd about different things about that property, rezoning it. And he said that if we brought something to y'all that you didn't want, like a storage unit or a storage facility or something like that, it would just get knocked down. So I don't wanna fill out all the paperwork and bring that before y'all if that's something you wouldn't be interested in. But I remember we moved here when I was back in 1980. And I remember all the little antique shops up here on Main Street, and like you mentioned, the Sharpsburg Festival, and how people would come, and it was a lot of fun and just enjoyable for families. So I'm fixing to retire, this year, so I was trying to think of something fun I could do and bring joy to other people and stay in Sharpsburg. You know, I love it here, and currently, my home's down in Meriwether County now, but we own that property, and instead of selling it, I would really love to keep it and put something like that there, if that would be something that y'all would even be interested in doing.
Well, my concern would be, I think that retail has pretty much moved online type of business. I think it's really tough for furniture retail especially. So my concern would be opening something that is not viable and it closes, and then we have something closed sitting there for however long.
Well, I know we will travel for hours to go to a place. Down at Opelika, there's a place down there, Angels. It's huge. It's 55,000 square feet, and we go down there, and I mean, it's full. People are there buying it on Valley, Alabama exit. It's full. You got Treasures. When we go, they just opened that one in Noonan. And I know with us, it's like if you find an antique, you know, there's antique trails where people look to find those places to hop from. And every time we go, I mean, they're full. And it wouldn't just be antiques, you know, like I said, we'd love to open like a little cafe in there and have a little coffee shop, ice cream shop, somewhere that it would be a nice place for people to come. It definitely wouldn't be something we would go into flippantly where we would wanna close it down, and this would be, my daughter just loves that. They love selling antiques, and we were told that the one in Treasures, they had that market full within just a few days, and they have a waiting list of people wanting to come in. So I know there's a lot of people that love antiques, love to go and do that kind of thing. But if it is something that you would, you know, it came before y'all and y'all say, no, we don't want that, then I don't want to go through the trouble. I'll look for a piece of property somewhere else to do that. But we've got that property there, and if it could be utilized for that, I think it would be a good thing for Sharpsburg. I think it would bring people here, not riffraff people who love that kind of stuff are gonna be, you know, people who are, like I say, not riffraff. You're not gonna get a bad group coming in. It'd be good for you bring them in. There's other businesses here. You got the pizza place and the Tasty Toasty Toad, all those that might, and all the gas stations that would benefit from more people coming in. But anyway, not to sell it too much, I just,
Let me ask you something. Are you familiar with the one down the street, Rock and B?
yes.
They stay packed.
Yes, they do.
And she told me, because my daughter went in there to see about getting a booth, and she said they've got a 5-year waiting list.
Yes, they do. And there are a lot of people that, I mean, it's a big
She
thing.
has a lot of good events too.
It's a lot of good events, and see, I would love to bring that as well, and like,
How big is the Rockin' Bees antique? Do you happen to know?
I would say the Rocket Bee is probably around 10,000 maybe. 10,000 square feet.
Could you bring us some pictures and ideas of what it would look like? Because, I mean, you know, I think.
I've printed off this here, and this is similar, but something maybe with the porch all the way across the front, but have rocking chairs, kind of like Cracker Barrel. You know, like Cracker Barrel has the, you know, the big porch. I would like it to be like a country store almost on the outside.
Why would we need to rezone your entire 11 acres? Because I'm familiar with your two properties, and they're sort of elongated from the road.
Right.
Rectangular shape.
Well, really, the one I'd like to do this on is 104, which is the one closest to the intersection. And that house that's there, we would tear that house down and then just build it there, and it would be long, and then have plenty of parking. Really, we would only need the one property for that.
Is that the 5-acre piece?
It's 4 point something, yeah, the one that's right behind where I think they're gonna build a gas station, up on that corner. But also, we talked about, you know, having maybe on the front, having like a market where people could bring their vegetables in and sell them, or things like that. Have it where people wanna come.
Bring the country back.
Have boiled peanuts on Saturday, you know, just make it a nice place. And I'd also, you know, if it got going good and y'all approved it, they have, like they do you were talking about festivals. Maybe have something like that once a year, or, you know, just have things, just make it a fun place for the, community to come to.
We've talked a lot about something to draw people into town.
Yeah.
I like that.
Where do I can be?
It's kind of been a dream of ours, mine and my children's dream to do this, and
Would you guys be open to not the metal type siding to make it
Then there's not gonna be, then there's a church.
look a little,
On the right.
you know, look a little better than the metal building?
well, the front, maybe on the front, but if we tried to do wood on that whole, see, the metal building's gonna hold up a lot better, and it's gonna look better in the long term. The front, we could do more, instead of metal, maybe do the wood and the rock on the front, and have the wood porch on it that way. I think if we tried to do a wood building that big, it's a lot of maintenance, and I think in the long term, it might look worse than the metal.
Have you ever been involved in any site development or construction before?
We have a business, DC Power Specialist, so we have some really good builders that work with us. We're in Noonan,
So you feel confident you have the means to produce something like that?
oh, definitely.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I'm actually, the business that we're in, I'm retiring, actually September 1st, and on paper it'll be October 1st, but the company is buying me out 50%, so I definitely will have the means to do something nice.
And you would be running it?
Yes, me and my daughter.
Yeah.
And my son as well.
For me, I mean, it's an interesting idea. I mean, it's this first we're hearing of it, you know,
Right.
so I don't wanna say one way or the other, but
So if I brought plans and stuff,
I would love to see something
Yeah,
like that, absolutely.
for sure.
I don't know if it's necessary to rezone both your parcels to accomplish what you're talking about, unless you just want to for future developments.
well, let me ask you this, I know.
You're not outside the kind of window where we've allowed it, you know, so far. You're basically right behind Kareem's neighbor, where he's building his 2 buildings there.
Mhm.
I think my concern is he's, you know, it's making his look nice. I wanna make sure
Yeah,
that whatever's built right behind him is elevated to the level of that and not just
Yeah.
metal.
It's gonna look very aesthetically pleasing.
yeah.
We would make it look very nice, and it would be taken very well care of. But one other question I would have is that there is no sewage there.
Mhm.
So that was what we were, I think if an issue was zoning it commercial for that. But in something like this, could you not use like an industrial septic system? We would only have probably 2 bathrooms.
Kareem could tell you.
Yeah,
He's dealing with
I mean,
that.
so we can talk about going through your property, because I'm trying to, but we can talk about after the meeting,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I'll say for me, I would love to see, you know, some plans and
Yeah.
something a little more concrete. I certainly wouldn't sit here and shut you down. It could be considered for sure.
Okay, definitely. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, do anybody else? No? Polling of the council? Nothing?
I did.
Should be back. Sorry for missing 2 meetings. I'm back in the
Well,
saddle.
Back to the side.
Yeah.
Tom?
I like your training.
Oh, that's our train. Looks good.
Does look good.
Yeah. I was gonna ask how we are on the comprehensive planning.
We've got a meeting tomorrow night, and it'll almost finalize it.
Okay, well, I think Kareem was wondering, he asked us our ideas of some businesses that we would like to see in his building. So would you be able to go to the meeting tomorrow night?
Is it down here?
Yeah.
It's
Yes, sir.
here.
6 o'clock.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna try my best, yeah.
Okay.
Show up a little bit early
Yeah,
and we can talk about it. I'll
Okay.
make sure I get it put in.
sure.
One of the things that I'm gonna, we came up with a vision. And one of the things I'm stressing to the committee is that we don't want a bunch of points, a bunch of items added to the plan that don't lend themselves directly or, you know, don't impact directly our ability to attain that vision.
Mhm.
And we also don't wanna have, items that are in there that sound rather innocuous that might haunt us later if the county decides, or if somebody comes to the county and wants to put something nearby that we don't want in our town. Things that would, wording that would leave us exposed to, county doing things or approving things that we don't want. So that's not only a catching point, but it's gonna be a final filter.
Okay,
If y'all are trying to say.
yeah. Administrator's report?
Yeah, actually, can we go back to the resolution for the millage?
Yeah,
Because there were really three parts that I was looking for.
okay,
And we got part one, which is the
Okay.
resolution approval.
yeah,
But we're utilizing flossed funds to offset the property tax. Or in other words, that's where we're pulling money to have our property taxes funded from. And so if you go to page 9 of the agenda packet I gave everyone, under recommended actions, there are two other recommended actions as well. The first is to transfer, with authorization, to transfer $27,703.66 from floss back to our general fund. That's the number, had we not had flossed and only went with a rollback, that is the number, that is the dollar amount we would have technically received had floss not existed. But moving that 27,000 would be putting it back into the general fund coffer, and that way that is property tax.
okay.
So,
So do we need to,
I would say it's an motion as well for that, authorizing me to move that particular money over from floss to general fund.
What about the $800 advance? You need that in?
I need that too, but I would prefer to have that as a separate motion, so it'd be two different motions. Another one would be 800, and then it'll be some change with interest as well.
Do you need a motion on the mayor or administrator to execute all necessary documents?
Yes.
So you need 3.
I think
separate motions
I think that all necessary documents certainly has included the resolution, which we already have.
Okay.
But having never transferred money from floss to general fund, I don't know if they're gonna ask for my signature or hers or a combination. Either way, I just wanna make sure we cover all bases.
Okay.
so can we get a motion for town administrator to transfer the $27,703.66 from the floss 2026 fund to the general fund as replacement for the 2026 property tax revenue? What's that?
Okay, I'll move that we authorize our town administrator to transfer the $27,703.66 from floss 26 to fund the general fund as a replacement for the 26 property tax revenue.
Alright, do we have
I
a second?
second that.
Tom is a second, all in favor? Unanimous, alright.
And then I'll move that we authorize the transfer of the $800 to the advanced by the general fund to the floss account with the accrued interest.
Yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Tom is a second, all in favor? Unanimous, alright.
Okay, I appreciate that clarity, so we'll get that done. And then, there is a last